Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin LaVore coming at you. Welcome to the channel. A lot of times we're telling our story on this channel. A lot of times we're talking about prophetic things and we're just sharing the heart of God and how He's working in our life, right? But sometimes we get a very specific prophetic word. That is what this video is. I feel like the Lord is saying a countdown has begun. Back in March 12th of this year, 2024, God gave me this word about it's not just going to be a turnaround, but it's like a turning up, like to go vertical. And he said, you're turning 90. And I was like, what? You're turning 90. And it was a reference to Sarah, who was 90 years old when she gave birth to the promise, when she gave birth to Isaac. But it was also like a sense of like, you're going from this prostrated place before the Lord, and He's going to raise you up, and then you're going to blast off, right? And visions and prophetic words have time frames for each section of it, right? And so I just felt like the Lord said, or tonight, He was saying, like, Devin, a countdown has begun. And it just kept repeating in my spirit, a countdown has begun. A countdown has begun. And then I was reminded of that video. And now when I researched that video, I was like, when did I do that video? When did I get that word? Well, it was on March 12th. And right now, that video has 417 views. I know that's not a lot. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. It's got 417 views. And that's such a huge deal for me right now because I have been seeing the number 417 so much. And for us, that always relates to Daniel 4:17 because God speaks to us through many different ways. And one of them is prophetic numbers. And Daniel 4:17 talks about giving the kingdom to the humblest and lowliest person. Okay, this is the deal. My entire God time that I presented to the family this morning was on Daniel 4:17. Oh my gosh. It was on Daniel 4:17 and the Lord began to show me like Jesus, He was brought low. He was the lowliest, and He was showing me how Abraham, Abraham and Sarah and Hannah and Joseph and David, they were just brought so low so that God could lift them up high, And so, just a little side note to this word. There are people who will be receiving 30 and some 60 and some 100-fold of what the Lord wants to do in their life. Now, you might be receiving 30 and think, this is great, this is awesome, but then there's that other 70 that you can't get. And then let me tell you why. Because let's just say the Lord's like, I want you to humble yourself. Look at it like a ruler, or like a measuring rod, right? The Lord's like, I want you to humble yourself to 25 feet. So that when I launch you, you go to 250 feet in the air, okay? But every time you go deeper and deeper and deeper, it gets more painful and more painful and more painful, right? It's more grievous, it's more difficult, right? And so we just get to this point where we're like, I'm done, I can't go any further. And it's like, okay, well, you've only gone 15 feet. There's still 10 left. I can launch you from here, but you're only going to go about 150 feet in the air. And it's like, you're not going to get the fullness of what I want for you. You know what I'm saying? And so we got to allow the Lord to do whatever He wants in our life. We got to allow that if we really want to see the glory of God, right? Just a little side note. And so, in reference to that video of you're turning 90, meaning you're going from a horizontal position to a vertical position, which is a 90-degree angle, and you're getting ready to be launched And you get a prophetic word like that, and you're just kind of waiting on it, and you're going, okay, well, when are we going to be launched? And then you just kind of wait on it. That's just the way it works. We're not in charge of any of this stuff. We are just hearers and receivers and obeyers. God initiates, we respond, right? And so I just felt like tonight the Lord was saying a countdown has begun. A countdown has begun. And I felt like the Lord said this. Wow. I just realized right now that 30, 60, 100 really applies, but it may be in a different way, but maybe not. No, forget that. Forget that, because this is what I don't want to apply something to what the Lord's saying, and what I'm applying is not what He's saying to what He's saying. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but what I felt like the Lord was saying is there's a countdown that's getting ready to begin, or that's already begun. My bad. There's a countdown that has begun, and there's going to be a launching. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Some of you are going to launch horizontally, and some of you are going to launch vertically. But then, as I'm processing this, the Lord said, and some of you are going to launch into orbit. Okay? So I was trying to apply the 30, 60, 100 fold to that, but you can't. You can't. That's not what God is saying. Because some of you who launch horizontally, you're going to launch into your 100. Some of you who launch are going to launch into your into orbit, are going to launch into their 100. You see what I'm saying? So you can't apply the 30, 60, 100. I was just getting that little side note of like, you want to really fully submit to the Lord so that you can launch into the 100% of what He wants, the fullness of what He has for you. Why wait so long and endure so long and go through the hard work and difficulty and not receive 100% of what God wants for you? Don't hold on to anything. If you are holding on to anything right now, just let it go. Let it go so God can do everything He wants. I have seen so many people hold on to things, and then God's like, okay, you can hold on to it, and then they not receive the things that God wanted to do in their life. And God was able to use them and do certain things, but it's like there's a leanness in the soul that comes from that. There's a hunger that's still there that they end up living with. And it's like, well, why are you living with hunger? Well, because you're not receiving all that God has for you. Well, why are you receiving? Because I didn't let go of this thing that I said was my safety net, my safety gland, my safety. And it's like you gotta let that go. But that's what I felt like the Lord was saying. He's saying a countdown has begun, and some of you are going to launch horizontally, some of you are going to launch vertically, and some of you are going to launch into orbit. And if you think I know everything that I'm hearing and what it all means, I do not. Just let's make that very plain and simple and clear right there. I really don't. I'm still like, whoa, what is all that? What does that mean? And it's like, you don't always have to know. When you're giving a prophetic word, you don't always have to know. You don't have to have this entire thesis of understanding. That is not the way it works. And when you try to make it work that way, be careful that you're not filling it in with stuff that makes sense to your mind. And it's like, no. Even the prophets of old were like, man, we're longing to look into and figure out, like, what is this stuff you're saying? What are you talking about? And God didn't reveal everything to them. But it's like, we prophesy in part, we know in part, and that's okay. Jesus said it's enough to be like the master. You don't have to be the master. You can't be. And so that's it. I just hope you guys are encouraged by that there is a countdown starting. And if you put the 4:17 in there, that Daniel 4:17, what is the Lord maybe saying? He's maybe saying you're going to be launched into this place of authority. You're going to be launched into this place of authority over something that God has promised you. Like for Abraham and Sarah, they were launched into a position of parenthood. That's a place of authority over the promise. Mary, she was launched into a place of authority over Jesus, like Mary and Joseph. They were now in a place of authority over, some of you are going to launch into the place of authority over the house of God. God's going to give you authority. He's going to give you lambs to take care of. And you've already proven to him that you've been faithful. So he's going to give you these lambs to take care of. And they mean everything to him. Nothing means more to the Lord than these lambs, and he's going to give you those. Maybe he's going to give you authority in a position of a business, or, the examples are endless. They're as endless as the dreams and vision that the Lord has cast into the many hearts who are listening and obeying him. So whatever your dream is, whatever your vision is, if you feel like, whoa, man, this is really resonating with me, because I know what it's like to hear words like this and it really doesn't resonate and you want it to. But, take it to the Lord, pray about it. But yeah, the Lord says, when he comes, will he find faith in the earth? When he comes, blessed are you if you're found doing what he's given you to do and told you to do. Blessed are you, because then he's going to anoint you. He's going to appoint you. He's going to elevate you. He's going to make you sit at the table, and he's going to serve you. And just, there's so much to unpack here, But there is a countdown. I feel like the Lord's saying that. There is a countdown that has begun. He has pushed some button and a countdown has begun for a blasting off, a taking off. Something's getting ready to happen. And so if you get a chance, go back and watch that video on that I did on March 12th, 2024. I think I even titled it, You're Turning 90. But yeah, so anyway, hope that blesses you guys, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.